Hi, this is Dennis from Never Stop Trucking. We are going live today again here from the studio in Grand Rapids, Michigan. How's everyone doing? We are going to be talking about some trucking topics today again, some news. And if you guys have any questions, hello, Ulrich. How are you today? Nice to see you every time. That's very nice from you. I'm going to talk about a couple of news today and some things that consider the trucking industry. And like we said, usually we could answer some questions if you guys have them here in the chat about trucking and dispatching. Just looking at my messages here to make sure everything is okay as far as our trucks go. I just don't want to miss anything. But today I want to talk about, hey, Mohammed, good, how are you? Nice to see you. Thanks, Ulrich. So let me go back to some of the news here that I have ready for us. Let's talk about the new Russia oil sanctions that Biden wants to impose. So last few years we didn't see much from this current administration as far as actually anything goes, especially in trucking here in transportation. But now this could affect the trucking because we do rely on fuel, on diesel, and the US is considering new Russia oil sanctions to weaken Putin. So Trump said he wanted to make a deal with Russia and Ukraine about the war. And if you remember, almost 3 years ago when Russia invaded Ukraine, the fuel went up, the diesel prices as well, bad during that month of February into March of 2022, I believe. And that's when this all kind of started. But now, since Trump is trying to get in another way to Russia to stop the war, now Biden is considering these oil sanctions. And it says here, the Biden administration is weighing new harsher sanctions against Russia's lucrative oil trade, seeking to tighten the squeeze on the Kremlin's war machine just weeks before Donald Trump returns to the White House. And this step was something Biden has long resisted over fears it could trigger a spike in energy costs. And for sure this could happen, especially in the run-up last month's presidential election. Now that he has really nothing to lose, this administration can do anything they want, basically. So I fear that we're gonna see more expensive fuel in coming months, especially if Trump goes with his tariffs. I just watched the Trump interview with NBC, I think, or was it MSNBC? And he's, I guess, hard set on those tariffs. I hoped that he might change his mind, that it wasn't going to be that bad like he's saying, you know, the percentage that he's talking about. But he is claiming that this will make the country richer and that it will help pay off the national debt, which I don't doubt. I think it will do that. But how, you know, what's it going to do to the small people, to regular people like us? We don't know that. Let me look at the chat here. No questions. Okay, we can go back. Now, another thing here that we have from FreightWaves, they claimed that November was the last month of trucking recession, which was kind of crazy, in my opinion, to claim something like that. But they base it on their sonar system and on the metrics, and they claim that the month of May this year, that was, you know, the month where the trucking prices hit the bottom. So I really don't think that's true, maybe by some of their statistics, but what we see here on the road. Let me see, am I saying that my picture is a little bit, yeah, could be the connection, where the picture is just freezing randomly, but I will check on that. But anyway, so uh, I don't see how the trucking industry is going to improve that much or that fast, but they do claim that we're going to be seeing better prices, that the 2025 will be better. We just don't know how much better, but they say that it's not going to be worse. So that's something, right? They say that when you start talking about the directional change, declaring the freight recession is over, if it's truly data driven from credible sources, people do start to factor that in. I had multiple people who were in request for a proposal season that worked for large brokers and carriers that said, thank you for saying that. Okay, well, it's a different thing to say. Like you are not Elon Musk when you just go out and say something, and then all of a sudden, the markets go up and down just based on that. So maybe they're hoping that, if they just come out and say the recession is over, the markets are improving, that everyone is going to see that and they're just going to start demanding higher rates. And we had some owner operators here that actually did see that, and they said, hey, are the rates actually really improving? We can see like last week was a little bit better. Well, yeah, last week was a little bit better because we were able to find you better lows, but overall picture, I didn't think that's what happened all of a sudden, especially because we had the Thanksgiving week last month, and usually that's where that's the busiest time of the year. But the week of Thanksgiving, even the week before that, and the week of Thanksgiving were really bad. And then the week after that, people started shipping some goods that they didn't during these previous 2 weeks, but then after that, it's just stopped again. This week also, I really don't see that much of a difference. And now we have another set of holidays come in, and people are just taking time off. A lot of companies will be not working, especially because the holidays are going to be in the middle of the week. If it's at the end of the week or in the beginning, then people would combine those with the weekend, and then they would work the rest of the week. Now, I actually spoke to someone today. They said usually they combine them, but since the Christmas day is on Wednesday, I think that's what they said. I haven't, let me check for sure. Yeah, so it's Christmas day is on Wednesday. So if we have people not working a day before that, or half a day on Christmas Eve, 24th, 25th, and then we have the 26th is Thursday, and Friday, like the whole week is just gonna be not busy at all. And same thing with the New Year's. So we will have to wait until maybe mid-January, where we can actually maybe see some improvements, and we'll see about that. And then they say here the freight recession is over, but it's unclear how fast the markets will improve. That's what they say as well. With the great freight recession lasting more than roughly 2.5 years. 2.5 years, that's a long time for a trucking recession or any recession to last. And like I said before, it's different if everyone is doing bad, if the whole economy is bad, if there's unemployment, and most people and most companies are struggling. But it's just not natural, and it's very unusual to most companies, most industries to thrive or do okay, and they still get their shipments from us, but we are the ones who are suffering. It's hard to explain it's hard to understand. So they said it will take some time for the markets to recover to pre-pandemic levels. So we have those pre and post-pandemic levels, and the post-pandemic levels are probably not going to repeat anytime soon or anytime ever, but at least if we can go to pre-pandemic levels, then everyone will be happy. And they say that the last May was the bottom. I really, well, maybe based on their data here, but you know, unless we see good rates, unless we see these loads coming in, then we can for sure agree that the situation is improving. So they say last May was the bottom. The market has been improving ever since. I really, I don't really think that's the case. I strongly disagree with this. Now these people that watch the markets here, maybe that's, you know, they say based on this, but here in the fields where the real action is happening, you know, if they had their own trucks and their own operations into the trucking, they would not claim such a thing. And they you know, freight waves, they're very, you know, they have a lot of articles on their website, and they have their hands in a lot of things here in the industry. And to me, you know, I always thought of them as a credible source of information. But after this, to me, it just sounds like they're either trying to make some clickbait titles or have people come in more to read these articles, because people want to read stuff like this. You know, everyone wants. If I had posted a video today with a title that says 2025 is going to be the best year for trucking ever, like crazy rates, you know, I would have thousands of views on that video, but that's just not true. And they say the market has been improving ever since, and it continues to improve. I think the question now remains, how fast does it improve? Does the acceleration continue? Are there risks going into next year? I think generally most people would say that 2025 is certainly going to be better than 2024. It can always be worse, but I just hope that it's not going to be. I think that it's going to be slightly better as well. Let's take a look if anyone has any questions. Hello, a BIH tide. Okay, I'm on upgrade. I'm a Dario. So would it be safe for the box truck industry? We had yesterday someone call in and asking about box trucks, and they wanted us to dispatch them. And lately we have been concentrating more and more on getting owner-operators to actually come to our authority, because as far as dispatching goes, that to me has been very, like, it's very unstable, dispatching. If you're 100% concentrating on that, and you got all your resources and you have a team and an established company, that's different. But for us, I've been always dealing with authorities. The first trucking authority that I formed was in 2014, and the second one in 2020. Okay, and that has always been my main goal, to work on those authorities. Dispatching for me came only around 2022 or so, 23. That's where I realized that maybe we could do that as well. Before that, I didn't even know that existed, right? This channel, and I see there's an error here on my YouTube channel. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So I guess something about the connection here. That's what's going on. But to me, the dispatching is just like when I started the channel, it was all about trucking authority. If you remember, if you look a few years ago, the first videos, I didn't even talk about dispatching. And then later on, we kind of included that. But this guy yesterday was asking about box trucks and dispatching them. And then even if someone comes out to us, where they want us to dispatch their semi trucks, most of the times we say no. Most of the times we will not take because we really don't have time for all of that. We have few guys that have been with us for a long time, as far as dispatching goes, but we just don't want to take anyone right now for dispatching side, like if they have their own company. But if an owner-operator wants to lease on to our authority, they're more than welcome to do that. That's different. And then with the box truck, oh man, I just, like this guy, I told him, like, just don't do a box truck right now. He wanted to do over the road and needs someone to dispatch him. And I just told this guy yesterday, and I tell everyone what I think, right? If I think that you can make some money, I'll tell you, hey, or don't do it this way, do it that way. But with a box truck, I just told him, no, don't do it. If you already have your own box truck and like you're kind of stuck with it, then, it's what it is. But just to get a new box truck right now and go over the road, I just don't think that's a good idea. I don't want to be sound extreme and tell you you're going to go broke and you're going to go bankrupt and you're just going to waste all that money and time and effort. But I kind of think that, right? Let me see. You can just say ABT for now. I remember a video you did where you said the box truck industry wasn't worth it anymore. Yeah, it's not. And I'm not an expert in, we do semi trucks, right? That's all we do. At one point of time, we did dispatch some box trucks, but we just realized that it's just not, it's not worth for everyone. Like, you go out there and wait for a load, and you find one load, drive like 500-600 miles for like $1 a mile, and then you're stuck there, and there's really nothing. There's really nothing for you, and you're just wasting your time. And then I feel bad because you as a driver have to wait, and it's kind of my fault too, because I sent you there, or another dispatcher sent you there, and now there are no loads from there, right? So unless someone has some a steady freight, a contract, or something specific that they do, that's different. But with the load boards and the box truck, yeah, just don't. From a new year, I will be starting as a safety director of 10 trucks and a little bit of dispatching. What would you suggest me? So let me see. There was hey, King of SDK, I'm a dispatcher and we are from Pakistan. Welcome to the stream. And then Andrew is asking about, like, what would I suggest for him because he's starting as a safety director and a little bit of dispatching. So I do the safety here in Usora Express. I deal with that. I went to a couple of local seminars here about safety, and that helped me a lot just to start. And I'm kind of self-taught, and I did ask, I know a couple of people that do safety, and then I would ask them, hey, is this how you do it? And then I also spoke to a few guys that had an audit from the DOT. So where the DOT actually comes into the office and they audit everything, and no one wants that. So if they come, then that usually means it's some kind of something happened on the road, and it's a big deal that they actually come into the office, unless it's that initial audit that they do, like they do it with everyone once you start your new authority. But then you can do that also online. I don't think here, at least here in Michigan, they don't come in anymore for that one. But if they come in, they will go through everything, through the driver qualification folders, all the records that you have, logbooks, everything. And I spoke to a few people that had that happen in their companies. And then they would tell me, okay, well, when they come in, this is what they ask for. These are the things that they look at. And then I got a little bit scared, And then even these seminars that I went to, they scare you a lot. They tell you, like, this happens, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be paying big fines for all of that. And then I started, all these folders that I made for drivers, for trucks, for trailers, all the records, it had to be perfect. So for you, I suggest, I don't know how experienced you are, because if you're doing safety, I guess you already have done it before and you know something about it. But I would always stay on top with the latest regulations, and talk to others. Talk to others and ask them, people that have their own companies, ask them about what they do and how they do it. And then once you talk to a few people, and I think there are even online seminars for that. I wouldn't do an online course, I would do an actual meeting with someone, or if they have a program where they teach you live, and then where you can ask questions. And stay on top of everything. Stay on top of on each driver. Follow them. Follow what they do. With their logbooks, in their ELD. If there are any violations, try to prevent them. Try to prevent bad things from happening, and learn. With your mistake. If someone does something, usually this is like one company where I worked. That was a long time ago. They had a really good safety department, and they would, if something happens and a driver does something on the road, something illegal, or there's a violation or something stupid, they would send a group message to everyone, or they would call everyone, and they wouldn't like tell this person like, hey, this guy, this driver, is like, no, they would talk to everyone, hey, just don't do this anymore. Right? Because you can't talk to everyone about that. Like one guy misses a red light, right? And you talk to that guy, hey, don't do it anymore. And then another guy misses a red light, and then you have to talk to me. No, like one guy misses a red light, talk to everyone. Send everyone a message, send everyone an email, talk to them, say, we're just making sure that you don't do this, right? Because there are some drivers that will come out with really silly stuff and say, hey, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know I had to do that. We had one owner-operator who started, and he said, well, I didn't know I had to have an IRP, like my registration. I didn't know this, like he had a temporary registration. He didn't have the international one for all the states. And he said, well, I didn't know that. Well, that you didn't know that, you're just, playing dumb. But in order to prevent that, you have to talk to everyone. Hey, you have to have your IRP on your truck. Your plate has to be current. It has to have a tag, right? Simple, silly things like that. For you, you think it's kind of, self-explanatory. Like, you just assume that people know. That don't assume anything, right? Just make sure you tell them. And also to make sure that they sign. If you tell them something, they sign that. Let me see if we have something else here. There is another guy that went live the other day regarding Amazon. Really, they were paying $3 per mile for box trucks. Yeah, so it would take me a while to log into our Amazon Relay account, and I could show you live that. And that there is some truth to that, right? We did see that. We did see that some box truck loads are paying good money in Amazon Relay. But there are a few things with that. Let me just ask here. I don't know if Emre is watching, just to make sure. And then you guys let me know if you get any interruptions, if my picture is freezing, or if it's a bad stream. So I'll try to fix it. But I'll ask Emre if it's better now. Okay. So as far as box trucks go with Amazon Relay, the problem with that is that if you're going to be the driver and you have a good, reliable truck, then you could probably do okay with Amazon Relay. if you're going to have a driver, that driver has to be on time. In Amazon, really, there is no canceling loads, right? Once you work a few weeks, you work, and I should probably, I'll write that down. Actually, I had written down here. Next time I can talk about Amazon Relay on a stream here, and maybe even show you some examples from the load board. But Amazon Relay is very specific. You can't be late, right? They don't tolerate that for any reason. For them, there is no excuse that you're late, or that, God forbid, you cancel a load. There is no excuse to them, right? Like if you work with a broker and you tell them, my truck broke down, something happened, and most of the time they will understand. If not, you can send them a proof of that, and that usually is enough. With Amazon, there is no, like, they don't care. They don't care. Like, they just assume that you have a replacement for that load that you can do. So once you work a few weeks with them and build your way up, build up your scores, and then we usually have really perfect scores there. So once you have those scores like B plus, A plus, then they will you will have access to contracts, and you can book contracts, and you can book them. If you have a really perfect score, you can have early access to contracts before anyone else, and you can get those earlier, and then you can be all set for like a month ahead or so. But you have to have a reliable, not reliable driver, like a really reliable driver, that will always be on time, that will never be late, or everything that you book ahead will be covered. And then most of these loads in box truck is they're night loads, right? You have to do them at night. That's another problem. So if this is your truck and you don't mind that, okay, you want to make some money, cool. But if you have a driver, it's going to be hard to find a driver that's going to do these night loads. Most of them will have multiple pickups and multiple deliveries. So if you see a load that's 300 miles and it pays $900 or even more, sometimes they would pay more than that. But just remember that this load will load late, like early evening, maybe late evening. And then your driver has to drive all night delivering these, and the driver will be finishing in the morning, right? And this whole time, this driver has to be in the app, or you, as the owner or as a driver, you have to be in the app. Every time you get there, every time you go out, every time there is something, you have to update those people all the time, right? They will cancel loads on you. They will tell you, like, without any explanation or warning. They will just say this leg is canceled, or this is added. They will add stuff without even asking you, so you have no control over that. And that's the only way you can make money. So ask yourself if you can do that, and if the driver that you have will do that. I bet you that 99% of the people will not do that. That's why they pay that much, and that's how it is. And then if you're late, if you cancel the load, you're out. You're out. Your scores go immediately down to the point that they're very, very bad, and you can't even book a contract anymore. You have to do another 2 or 3 weeks of doing these, regular loads, that, like normal loads. And then if there are no failures during that time frame, then you will be able to get those contracts and book them ahead. So that's your Amazon right there. And same thing with semi trucks, right? It's the same thing. With semi trucks, it's usually not, like, you don't have to do these night deliveries. You can find loads that pick up and deliver during daytime. But there's a lot of times that you will have to do it at night. Okay, so Artem, hi. How to grab a driver? That's really a topic where we could talk for like 2 hours about that. I do have some videos about it on the channel. Just search for owner operators search term on the channel. and things like that. So I do have some videos about that. Okay, let me see. Hi, I'm working in a truck company in billing department from my country for $4 per hour. What average pay for this kind of work? Well, so $4 per hour, so that's, let's say, 10 hours a day, $40 times 20 days, that's like 800 a month, I'm assuming. Depends. I don't know which country you're in, and I really don't know each country, like what the normal pays. I know that in Eastern Europe, the average, salary could be anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 euros, something like that. I'm just on top of my head. And I know in like Pakistan or India, it's like, I think like $400 a month, like average, low pay. I think, that's from my research. So I really don't know, like in your country, what the normal pay is. And there is this argument that here in the United States, people are paying others more. And, when they hire people from abroad, they're just misusing them and paying them for dirt cheap. And I kind of agree with that. But another thing is like that here, if you have an employee, there is also other things that you have to consider. There are taxes that you have to pay for them, insurance, Social Security, and Medicare taxes. You have to have an office for them, a computer, subscriptions, all of that. But if you hire someone remotely or from abroad, you don't have to pay a lot of those things. So that's the main reason why these companies here, especially trucking and brokerage companies, are going to overseas to get the help, not just in dispatching. First they started, with tasks that are more simple, like tracking, right? So it's not that hard. You don't have to be here. You don't have to have a lot of equipment or experience. They would hire people from abroad to do the tracking, and then they started to do, like you said, what is it? Book. Sorry, I'm trying to find it here. So billing department, right? So billing department, and they try to pay them cheap. So whether that's okay or not, I just don't know. I couldn't tell you. It depends, I guess, what the average is where you live right now and what the others are paying. And if you think you're worth much, I would look for something else. I really don't know what to tell you about that. How are you ending up with covering trucks nowadays? Where do you find those loads to gain profit and not loss on DAT board? Everything is pretty cheap. Whoever is working with brokers directly and with the spot markets will have to either use the DAT board or truck stop or brokers' websites and their load boards, or have a contact with a certain broker where they have a rep, that kind of works for them every day. So that's the main way to get those loads. If you work with brokers, if you don't have any contracts, or if you don't work with shippers directly, or if you don't do something specialized, with your trucks, like dump trucks, asphalt, gravel, crops, anything like that, right? If you are with semi trucks, you're kind of dependent on those brokers. So it used to be that with load boards, some brokers would, brokers would post their loads on their load boards. So you could go to like JB Hunt or Coyote or CH Robinson, and you would find a lot of decent loads over there, because they just don't want to post their loads on the DAT board. They want us to come there to bid on their load boards, and you were able to do it. Right now, when you go to their load boards, like C.H. Robinson, there is nothing. And if you see a load, it's like $1 a mile, and it's heavy. Same thing with TQL. JB Hunt, you used to be able to bid a lot more on JB Hunt, but not anymore. So most of these brokers' websites are not that busy anymore, like they used to be, right? You can still find some loads. So everyone else turns to DAT, and in my opinion, TruckStop is really, like, it can't compare to DAT. Maybe only for the safety part, because there are not that many bad players on TruckStop with brokerages and carriers that do all kinds of scam or fraud. That's the only good thing, but the interface of TruckStop is not even close to DAT, and the number of loads is not even close. There are so many loads on DAT. So everyone, like 95% of the companies that are in spot markets, turn to DAT, and it's just very, there's a lot of competition there. So you just can't find a good paying load. You have to sit all day, start early in the morning, and just, don't send your trucks to a bad area. If you see, you get tempted. You see a good paying load going to a bad area, and you're like, okay, man, I'm just gonna send them there and be done with it. The driver is gonna be happy. I found them a load that pays more than average, and it's gonna make me less busy. I can do my next task or concentrate on my trucks for tomorrow. But then come tomorrow or 2 days later, you have that truck in that area, and now you're pulling your hair out and thinking, man, why, I should not have sent this guy there. So it used to be that the bad areas would only be like Florida, Denver, Northeast, maybe. So no one wanted to go there, unless you live there or unless you have a really crazy paying load. But now, I would say like 60 to 70% of the country for us is a no-go, right? We don't send our trucks to at least 60, maybe even 70% of the country. We only work with like 30% of the country, and that's where we send the loads to and from, in order to prevent having those headaches next day, where we just, where all the loads are paying like $1 or $1.20 per mile. So it takes a lot of planning to do if you have these rates, right? Just stick to learn where the good lanes are, the good paying loads, where you can get good money to and from those states, and just stay there no matter what, right? Don't get tempted to go to these other bad areas. Artem is asking, what average pay for this kind of work you think for billing? Like I said, I don't know where you're from. If you want to share your country, Artem, where you live, maybe that would help us. But here, people think here's something else. I'm not going to say mention any countries or anything like that, or any specifics, but there was an ad that we had, and for a certain position, and it was public, and we could get comments on those ads. We can see them, and they were commenting like how this is way too low for that. But and they said like this is worth what did they say, like 2,000 euros a month, okay? And I did some math in my head, and I'm thinking, well, okay, so this position unfortunately doesn't pay like much more in United States, that same position. Because remember, like I said, there's a lot of taxes here that employers have to pay. People don't realize that. There is usually like the Social Security and Medicare taxes are 15%, just over a little bit over 15% in the United States. And when you have an employee, the employer shares that. It's split half and half between employer and the employee, those taxes. So the employer has to pay 7% those taxes for them. And then there's also state and federal taxes that have to be withdrawn from the check. There are other things like a lot of employers will have insurance, health insurance that they pay for. They pay their portion. Like employee, like they usually split it half and half again. There's 401k. There's training costs, space costs, a lot of things that workers' compensation, is another big one. So there's a lot of costs that employer has to pay for an employee, and people don't realize that. Okay, and now these other people from other countries are demanding like the same pay that people pay here in United States, and they don't realize that. Even a dispatcher here is not that paid that much. Just go look at Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter or Monster Job Search, and you will notice that a dispatcher, like a trucking dispatcher, with maybe a year or two of experience, they're not paying well. It's like 40, 45 a year. To someone who lives abroad, that sounds like a lot, but here it's really not, right? It depends where you live. Like here where I live, a two-bedroom apartment for rent could be easily like $1,500 a month. But if you go to California, it could be easily like $4,000 or more a month. So it depends where you live, right? So when you take that into account, a salary of like 40, 45 for a dispatcher is really not that great. So as far as billing, maybe even less, probably even less. So people will expect a lot more money, but people here know that they're not going to hire someone from abroad and pay them the same salary, because unfortunately that's the reason why they turn to people from abroad, because so they can pay them less. Hey Amir, yeah, workers' compensation is huge, and thanks for joining again. And there are some things that like some private things that you can't really share online. But workers' compensation for truck drivers is probably, I think, the highest category in United States, or maybe one of the highest ones, as far as the percentage of the money they're making that the employers have to pay towards, right? So 10 years ago, when I first started, we had our own truck drivers who were employees, right? They were on W-2. And that workers' compensation was just killing us. It was killing all the profits that we had. And then what's even worse is that the workers' comp, it doesn't really work in a way that other insurance works. Like if you have someone on your trucking insurance or your car insurance, you change something, your premium goes down. You add someone, your premium goes up, and it fluctuates based on number of employees or based on their salary. But with workers' compensation, is not like that. Like in the beginning of the year, if you start with 5 employees, you pay the rate for that the whole year. If you add 5 more or 10 more, you don't pay anything extra. But at the end of the year, they will do an audit for your company. And then they will say, okay, now you owe us $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, right? Additionally to what you already paid. And that can kill you. That can bankrupt the company. And then what's even worse, if you have employees and contractors and like owner-operators who have their own trucks, they can go after them as well. They can say, hey, well, these owner-operators, they have to be considered employees too. Now you have to pay for those as well. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Lazar, kolika je prosječna cijena po milji sad? Lazar is asking what the average pay per mile is right now. So for drive-ins, it's around $2 according to DAT. It just went down slightly. I think then $2 just recently. I haven't checked in a while, but if you can get $2 consistently throughout the whole week, I think you should be happy. Now, like I said, there are some areas where you can go that that will pay more, but then from there, like the return load will be paid less. So that's kind of the average $2 per mile for a drive-in. For a flatbed, it's slightly better, but it's not much better at all. And then reefer is like we know, like we all know, reefer is more seasonal and more like it depends on the location, depends where you go. If you go to like Washington State or Florida, it depends a lot on the season. So let me see. Pozdrav od Makedonija. Pozdrav Igore. We also have Chris in Macedonia. Okay, Chris is in well, we say Macedonia, but in English it's different. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I think I've been on for almost an hour now. And unless you have any other questions, we can talk about them. But then I can, 47 minutes. If you have more questions, just shoot. Amir, anything new with you? How's everything going, buddy? Any suggestions? You should come in. I told him you should come into live, but he doesn't want to. Let's see what he says. Amir has left the house. Sorry to mention you like this, but I do it in a positive way. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and then hopefully same old work. Yeah, there you go, work. And I think you have a lot of work to do, much more than I do. And also, Amir, I was watching some of your videos on Facebook there, and I think that's really great, what you're doing. And I also wanted to tell you what kind of impressed me is that, and there was something like unusual, like in these videos, and I'm trying to figure out what is it, like what's like something is not, something is weird. And then what I noticed is that most of the guys in your office there are, I'm not going to say old, but, people that are older, and more experienced and looks like, like serious people, and maybe guys that even have experience in trucking, right? At least that, to me, that's what they look like, because your average dispatcher right now that you see is kind of a younger guy just out of school, wants to prove himself or herself, and but the mature, there you go, mature. But like that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. And the bad thing about that is that because they don't have much experience as far as trucking or the industry goes, it's much better to work with a dispatcher that has had experience with driving. A dispatcher that has been in the truck, that knows how it is out there, and that can have that empathy towards the driver. Because if the driver tells you like, hey, we have a problem here, this is what's going on, then me as a former driver here, I can understand him, I can be in his shoes, and then maybe from my experience, like in what I did in that situation, I could help him, but at least I can understand him, right? And then I know what he's talking about. So that helps a lot. And I noticed that in his office there, there you go. In his office, like all of these, like it was weird. Usually when you see these videos online, it's mostly young people, like, that want to prove themselves and like, like they feel comfortable around cameras because they are used to it. But these are just like your old-fashioned guy in a button-up shirt with a gray beard and like, hey, like taking care of the business, and that's kind of cool. But I like both. I like both, but this is both just different that I saw in his company. We have 4 that have been drivers. Yeah, that really helps. That's really great. That's really good. And then the same thing when I talk to drivers. By the way, if you're an owner operator and you have your own semi truck, consider working with us. In link in description of this video, there is a link, and you can click on it, or you can call me, and we can work together. So that's kind of my selling point too, where I say, hey, I had been driving for 10 years over the road. I have been all over the country, in probably 45 states or so. And I know how it is. I'll treat you with respect, and we'll try to do the best job possible as if I was driving. So that's kind of my selling point too. It helps me a lot in communication with drivers, and they trust me because of that. Thanks everyone for watching. It's really nice to see you all here, and come back for more. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything tomorrow, no, but maybe on Friday. But I sure would love to see you next time here in the live stream. Yes, Amir. Because they can. Well, yeah, that's not like if a driver sometimes tells you something, and I'm like, no, I think you can do that, right? Like, because I know it's possible to do it. So yeah, that's correct, Amir. Thanks for your input. Thanks everyone for watching, and then I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.